power utility Eskom says it will procure additional emergency energy from today in order to keep South Africa's lights on. Eskom Group Chief Executive André de Ruyter made the announcement during an emergency media briefing in Johannesburg yesterday. Eskom escalated rolling blackouts to stage 6 due to unplanned loss of capacity. De Ruyter says the grid was under serious pressure this week, forcing the power utility to replenish reserves to maintain a safety buffer. For more on this, we now bring in energy expert, Professor Azwimpheleli Mamphweli. Thank you so much for making the time to speak to us. And I'm glad we're speaking to you because you're one of, and correct me here if I'm right, the advisors to the President with regards to that energy plan that was announced in July. The Democratic Alliance coming out saying 2 months after the announcement of the plan, we're still in the dark about the recruitment or rehiring of experienced former Eskom staff, procurement of electricity from neighboring countries, the plan to eliminate sabotage, theft and fraud at Eskom, and National Treasury's plan to expand tax incentives for residential and commercial installations, which are still pending. Are you satisfied with the pace of the rollout of this plan?
Well, good morning to you and the viewers. So I'm just working on. I'm just part of the one of the working groups that's working on the president's plan. There's quite a lot of groups there, about 7 of them. In terms of the actual work, all I can say is that there's a lot of work being done under the various working groups. I'm not allowed to give feedback or an update in terms of what is happening. But in terms of the information that is already in the public domain, the plan is being implemented. The plan should be seen in its totality because not a single aspect of the plan can solve load shedding. It's a combination of issues. It's a combination of technologies. It's a combination of interventions that need to solve the problem. For instance, when it comes to buying from other neighboring countries, you can't get that much. You can only get about 300 megawatts. But under the circumstances where the system is heavily constrained, that is also appreciated. In terms of other things, there are quite a lot of other things that still need further studies, that still need further approvals. Once those are approved and then they start to be implemented, we will see the pressure on the grid being eased in a medium to long term. So we're still looking at about 12 months or so of load shedding, unfortunately.
And I'm happy you say there are aspects you cannot reveal because that's really the nub of the problem here. Eskom says it's the tripping of generation at Kusile and Kriel. But, South African inhabitants are sitting here wondering, is it still what Eskom has once called sabotage and they're not telling us? What needs to happen to increase the level of transparency so we have a clearer indication of what the bigger problem is?
Yeah, there is a need for that transparency. And also the other thing is the president, because he announced the plan, I think there's a need for him to update the nation or to delegate that authority to the relevant people so that they can update the nation in terms of the work that's being done. Because when things like this happen, things like trips at relatively new power stations take place, we need more than just Eskom coming out to say there's a trip at Kusile power station, for instance. They need to tell us the details of what that trip entails and how long will that trip take. Because what the public has basically accepted is the fact that we've got an aging fleet that was not properly maintained. For that, we don't need a lot of explanations. But once you start seeing things such as trips in new power stations, those need further explanations. Eskom does provide information in the public domain in what they call the data portal that you can find online. But that too, it's data that can be understood by people who understand the power system and understand what is happening. There is need for detailed and further information that needs to come from the relevant authorities.
Of course, there's much to speak about, but this is where we're going to have to leave it. Professor Azwimpheleli Mamphweli, already we're hearing words such as total grid collapse and stage 7 and 8 being thrown around. But of course,